Welcome, survivors, burnout community, and those just interested. It's Kelly Booboltz, trainer, author, speaker, and your burnout prevention mentor. Burnout is not taboo. It's our reality in this chaotic, fast-paced world. But we're not going to let it drive the narrative to our stories. We're going to do something about it, so let's dig in. We're continuing the conversation on running productive meetings. If you haven't checked out that video under the Think Different playlist, go ahead and check that out after we run through how can we streamline and energize the workflow through meetings. Now, before I run through some effective techniques and productive type of systems that you can use, I want to shine some light on the meeting makeover product audit. So these are the factors that I review when reviewing your meeting, and this will give you a little preview into the energizing factors that I'm looking for. When looking at the agenda, is it clear what purpose it serves? Sometimes we schedule meetings just to schedule a meeting or get updates, but that update could have been an email. We've heard that before. Or we get sidetracked into different type of meetings in which the people that are there are not the appropriate people that should be listening to this, and not good use of people's time. So in this meeting structure and organization category, we're looking at agenda, I'm looking at time management. Does your agenda have time allocated to each part of the agenda? And as you're working this out, it's okay to adapt and adjust to the time allocated, but we should be sticking to the time allotted on the agenda to stay on task. And again, as you continue the agenda purpose, are you getting the value out of it after the meeting? So if it's a huddle and it's a department meeting bi-weekly and we're trying to stay on track together, is the right pieces on the agenda so that when we leave that agenda, people feel like they can navigate together, that we're all aligned when we leave the meeting. The last part of this, which is an important part, and I think we forget about because of the busy world we're in, is preparation. Are people showing up to the meeting prepared? If this is a common offense in your company and you've tried to adjust it, I want you to dig deeper. There might be some root causes like meeting spillover, which is another video within the Think Different playlist. But sometimes we overpack our days, so people don't even have time to prepare for the meeting. Now, in participation and engagement in a virtual nature, I'm certified virtual presenter, so I know the little pieces that you can do to keep people engaged so that they're not working on something else while in the meeting. Everyone's engaged, but until your meetings are cleaned up, focused, and a focused agenda, it won't have the purpose they're looking for. So yes, they are going to work on something else, but are all voices heard? We all know people start to disengage when they get shut down. So if everyone knows the agenda and we need to stay on task and your facilitators are trained, those voices can be heard and there is time and space to have impactful discussion. Are participants active or are they shut off? They're not really contributing. And then we're doing meetings after the meeting. We're doing chats after the meeting. We're doing things that should have been done during the meeting, outside of the meeting, which again is a productivity loss. It's waste. Is everyone focused and collaborating together, or do you have this butting heads, two different pathways that we're going? And again, that's the waste that's coming out of it, but that's why we work on the workforce energy management model, is because once you work on communication and collaboration and building trust, this will happen nicely under synergy, everyone moving on the same path. Communications are not only people prepared, but the facilitator. Do we have all the reports ready? Do we have all the slides together? Do we have all the data that we need for the presentation? Or are we wasting time during the meeting trying to find that information, trying to pull up certain files? Everyone should be prepared to communicate what they're there to do, what they own in the agenda. When conflict happens, which it does, and I welcome it, how do we discuss through that? How do we make sure that we stay on track, but still make sure that people are heard, make sure that the emotional outbursts are being addressed in a very delicate and respectful manner? Again, how we address that can really change the team energy during this meeting. It'll make people want to come back, or it will want them to schedule something else so that they can't make the meeting. So that communication effectiveness does matter. Productivity and outcomes is focused around, did we achieve the purpose of this meeting? Again, this is where some of the adjustments will come in. Maybe we don't even need the meeting. Maybe this meeting actually needs to be focused around this. And those adjustments will keep it in a productive manner, focused on outcomes and not the activity of the meeting. Our task clearly assigned and understood. And I'm going to show you in a moment a system that I partnered with that really has streamlined this all together to make sure that we're not wasting time taking notes, entering notes over here, sending out Teams invites over here, and then putting files over here. There's like 4 different tasks that the facilitator has to do, and basically their job is just facilitation instead of their real job. And so we want to make sure that that workflow and productivity is focused on the outcome of the meeting and not adding more. The environment in which they're in, there was a meeting that I just hated, and I realized it was the room. Because every time I had a meeting in this room, it was a negative meeting. It was production meetings in which everything was going bad. It was labor union meetings in which the negotiations were always in opposing ways. It was disciplinary meetings. It was termination meetings. And I've tried to paint the room. I've tried to get new furniture and liven up the room a little bit, fake plants. And it still had this just vibe of negativity. And then I realized it's because it's not the environment that I was in, the room, the physical room, it was the meetings I was having in it. The meetings were dysfunctional. There was always high conflict. No one was controlling the meetings. So then I had to step up and I wasn't the facilitator. We would go down all these black holes and create more problems for ourselves. So at the end of the meeting, you really never achieve the purpose of the meeting. And so when you fix those little pieces of the agenda and facilitation of meetings, it becomes actually a forward-moving, good-feeling, energized environment. So those little pieces go into it to keep the energy so that we're not having, I walk through the door and you already know this is going to be a waste of my time. And then tools and resources. Are we using technology effectively, or are we double dutying? Are we doing 4 tasks just to get information out to people after the meeting? How are we streamlining things? Now, as part of that last sector, technology and streamlining things can alleviate a lot of stress and workload when we don't have to do 4 steps after a meeting, when we don't have to do double duty, when someone else is scheduling a meeting, but then this person changes the meeting and that person loaded the wrong agenda and the files are located over. I mean, I can hardly get through that sentence without just like agitating myself. So I want to give you a preview of a software that streamlines everything together. And what I love about this, and I think what the clients have shared as is the most impact out of this software, is action items. Action items from strategy, departments, one-on-one meetings, and meetings are all in one place. Talk about productivity. Talk about energizing when I can sign in and see my dashboard and all the tasks that I own are there. All my meetings are there and all the notes that I need are right there. We're not separating out talent management. We're putting it into action, executing it on a daily so it's front and center. We're executing on strategy and those initiatives and action plans front and center daily, all in one stop. So let's go take a look at my talent planner. And in this, we have, again, the strategy, the talent, our goals that we're setting. And this can be department level. This can also be company level. And then within it, I have my department, type of functions, meetings, plans, and initiatives. And I want to click on right now for this video is meetings. So when you click on meetings, it's going to come up with all my meetings that I'm part of. It's not going to come up and show meetings that I am not involved in. Until I am invited to these certain meetings, it wouldn't show up. So that's also clarity in what I should be focusing on. Have you ever had those people that are over responsible? They're trying to help. They're trying to be the hero. Maybe they're a people pleaser and they're at the meeting because they know a lot of information, but they don't have a lot of impact on what comes out of that meeting, affecting the outcomes. Again, if it's information, it can be an email. Someone else can bring it to the meeting. Who are your decision type of factors and players that are in the meeting? That's who should be there. Everyone else is extra. And again, we're wasting time. Why I say that? Because I was one of those people. I was in all the meetings, but really I only could affect some of them. I just had a lot of information. So that could have been an email. So let's click on one of these. Let's go click on one-on-one meetings. You're going to see in here a laid out, clear agenda. You're going to see in here a timer so you can stay on task. You're going to see where you can put notes, where you can actually talk about what are you acting on. So these are like our daily tasks and functions. It's not down to the level of detail of like every single thing I do every day, but it is going to show you what you should be acting in on the business that provides value. So when you talk about the workforce being disengaged, they don't even know what value they bring sometimes. This is all here, and you can just add a plan, you can add it in, and now it's a focus item. And guess what? You have owners, you have due dates. Amazing. You can add in new issues and opportunities, and what I love about this is it's driven by the employee. So sometimes when you do one-on-ones, the leader's driving the whole thing. The leader is there to coach. We're not training micromanagers. That's more work. So the leader is there to coach through hurdles, get them more support, navigate through the thoughts in their head so that they're enhancing their skill set, critical thinking. How are they going to adapt? My whole business is around creating agile teams so we can adapt in a changing world, preventing burnout, enhancing productivity. If we want leaders to do everything, they're going to burn out. If we want leaders to do everything, the rest of the workforce actually doesn't know what to do to adapt to change, to get back on path. And so we want to shift that focus to the employees driving this. Now, as we go through the meeting, the leader is focused on the conversation, and the agenda just runs, and it's kind of like a kicker for you to move on to the next item on the agenda, keeps everyone on track instead of it being, again, a venting session. The cool thing within my Talent Planner, if you want it turned on, is it does have an AI function in which you can record the meeting. It will suck out the important notes of it, and then the leader can be focused on the conversation instead of trying to keep up in the notes of the software. Again, it's not for every company that you have to have high trust and communication to be at that point, because we want the leader involved and engaged in the conversation. Now, let's go back to meetings. There was another meeting in here that I wanted to show you. We have our company meetings, which is the sprint meetings every 90 days or so. We have our Monday huddles, which is more of a department meeting. And these, again, you'll have the agenda set up so we can stay on time, but these are short. Look at this. This is 30 minutes. We're going to do updates for 5 minutes. We're going to talk about our budget. We're going to talk about regional management, a project we're working on as a department. And then we're going to be talking about our next steps on the scope of work that we're working on. And again, we're going to have our act-in plans specific to whatever the department meeting is. This is a strategic department meeting. And then we're going to add in any issues and opportunities. And here's a great time to say, I'm getting a little behind in this. I'm not getting the support from this department. Has anyone else tried something that might work? I'm having some issues with data. It doesn't seem to be working correctly. Okay, now the leader can step in and remove that hurdle. Let me talk to IT. Or let's go talk to IT together. Or can you talk to IT? And if you don't get anywhere, then I can step in. And then at the bottom will be any updates. And again, this is reference material for future meetings. Let's look at one more. Let's look at the sprint meeting. This is more of a strategic meeting. So this is every 90 days. Let's start moving boulders. Let's start moving things through the company so we can hit our goals. So we're working on the business. We're not just working on the broken blinkers and the things that come up and the conflict and client complaints. We're moving the business forward. Again, progress. This is a little bit longer meeting. And if you've been in any strategic meetings, which I've been in for probably about 10 years, consultants involved, no consultants involved, these can be rabbit holes. These can be bringing up every issue across every department in the organization and energy draining. I hated strategic meetings. They were like 4 hours long. Sometimes they were offsite. Sometimes they were on-site. Sometimes consultants were just pushing us too far when there's just a mess to take care of within our organization. This will keep you on track. This will keep the group focused on how are we moving forward. It will keep us on results-oriented solutions instead of complaints. It will keep us focused on what is the goal and what are the steps we can do to get there. So again, focused agenda, click, click, click. It has a timer on top. You got your notes. You can use AI if you want to. You have your act-in plans. These are basic because this is the demo program, but you can get pretty detailed in here. And if you see on the right here, it's profile pictures because someone owns something. Someone owns something on the way out. And the cool thing about assigning owners to this, aside from that someone owns it and there's a due date, is that across your organization, you can actually filter by employee, and every task that's assigned to them, every function, strategic initiative, department, plan, performance plan that's assigned to one person, you can see who's overloaded and who is not, who you might be taking advantage of, and who maybe you could develop more and shift some of that workload over. So it's a great technique, not just for focus on who owns what, but also managing people's workloads. Within the My Talent Planner system, everything is integrated. So if you have new strategic actions, it could be assigned to an owner, put on their dashboard, put on department dashboards. If you have new performance plans, development plans, disciplinary plans, any action items that are coming out of this can be assigned to someone, and then it's on their dashboard, which means their leader can see it, which means the leader above them can see it. And you have this nice cohesive workflow. Let me say that again. You have this nice cohesive workflow instead of silos where everyone's working on their own little department initiatives. Everyone's working towards common goals here, and it's all in one place. So key factors that you want to consider are, again, clear objectives of the meeting. What is the focus? Go check out that other video after this that will be pinned to make sure that you have focus on what meeting are we hosting, when, and why. Are our facilitators trained to guide to the purpose of that meeting? That's in the other video. Are expectations clear of the meeting, agendas clear, and is there follow through and ownership, including due dates, to make sure that everyone is not only on the same page, but we're moving things along? And if you're looking for more help on effective meetings and the little pieces that can energize the groups within these meetings, go grab up the meeting makeover and get an audit from a third-party perspective on where you might be losing productivity and energy, and review opportunities where you can take your team from exhaustion to excellence. As we continue on with this series, I hope that you feel the energy move. I hope that you're feeling that shift from that blah mode, that zombie mode, Walking Dead, and back to energy. Because you're doing the work. You're thinking different.
I know you're not lazy. Most people in burnout are high performers, those serving others before themselves. Don't discount this step today, the action in which you focus on your self-growth. Piecing together the puzzle is half the journey. Rediscovering yourself, energy, and establishing new habits is the other. Do not underestimate the untapped inner strength inside you. Explore more resources on my website to move from zombie mode back to liveliness. See you soon.